What's a better business class experience, Emirates or Qatar Airways, and how much did both of these flights cost? The answers to both of those might surprise you, and this is a must-watch video if you want to see what the flying experience is like from check-in and booking to pre-flight, during flight, touchdown, all the way to baggage claim. I show you everything in this video. So if you're thinking about booking, or if you want to see if it's worth it or not, I'm going to answer that question and pick my favorite experience. Hey everyone, it's Ryder. I recently flew both Emirates and Qatar Airways business class within a few days of each other. We're starting our journey first on the Emirates A380 from JFK to Dubai and returning a few days later on Qatar's 777 from Doha back to New York. There's even a bonus business class segment I'll show you in the middle. Both of these are considered the two best business class experiences in the world. First up, Emirates business class on the A380. You know, I originally only booked economy, and I'll explain how I was able to upgrade to business class. Incredible experience. First, I arrived at JFK and went to the designated business class check-in. A very quick and friendly process, along with security this evening at JFK. Then I made my way to the lounge, not the Emirates lounge because of how I booked this business class ticket, which I'll explain, but the Amex Centurion Lounge because I have an American Express Gold card. Definitely a great perk for lounge access, and the current promo is 100,000 points. If you don't have an Amex Gold or Platinum card yet, I've left links in the description of this video. From the lounge, I spotted the A380, the largest commercial plane in the world, full double-decker. Then I made my way to the gate, and because of the two floors, there's multiple entry points. Here I am heading up to the upper level. I was greeted by 4 or 5 friendly flight attendants as I made my way onto the plane and took my seat. Around this time, my designated flight attendant introduced herself. She was the one helping me out throughout the 12-hour-plus flight. Very thorough and customized. She knew it was my first time on Emirates business class, welcomed me on board, and showed me a few things about the seat. The multiple TVs, the extra storage space, the menu, headphones, and slippers and eye mask were already at my seat, along with a little minibar with water and other snacks. After a welcome drink and a hot towel, I got the amenity kit. Some great products here. Here's how it looked, and still using some of these. They also came by with pajamas, which I declined. Then the no-nonsense safety video, I'll contrast that with Qatar Airways safety video in a few minutes. Now, I was toward the front of the upper deck, which was a great spot to be ahead of where the onboard lounge is. If they had the window available, I would have taken it, especially for takeoffs and landings. We took off and began our 12.5-hour journey to Dubai. While the flight crew prepared dinner, which only downside there is it takes about an hour and a half into the late night flight. And some folks around me already went to sleep, but they came around and put down mattresses and pillows on our seat. So we were ready to recline the bed post-dinner, and in the meantime, I caught NBA playoff basketball, read a little bit, and had some delicious mint tea, which came with its own little jar of honey and pre-dinner nuts. Huge selection of dinner options. Here it is. Whatever you order, the food's going to be delicious. Had some chicken and Mediterranean dips. Post-dinner, went to the onboard bar. One of the most unique things about the A380 double-decker. Pro tip, behind the bar they have Polaroid cameras and they can take your photo. Back in my seat, I reclined the bed and got some shut-eye. Several hours later, I woke up to a delicious breakfast, coffee, fruit, croissant, and an omelet. Everyone else seemed to get a great night's sleep. The lounge was much busier than the night before. And as we came over the Gulf, another hot towel, maybe the third hot towel of the trip. There were some beautiful views of the skyline as we circled around the city. And as we land, here's how I was able to book this one. At the check-in 1 or 2 days before the flight, there was business and first class availability, and I was able to upgrade. The upgrade was around $1,000, which is about 30 to 50% of the cost if you were to book business class when originally booking. So keep an eye out for that if you don't want to splurge on the outright business class. and you think there may be availability for you, you may get presented with an upgrade offer when you check in. And then we landed at Dubai International Airport. I gave this flight all smiles on the on-screen feedback. We were quick to the gate, down our ramp to customs, through the massive Dubai airport, and by the time I got to the carousel, my bag tagged for business class was already there. In my hotel room in Dubai, I recorded my impressions so I wouldn't forget. It's what I've just described for you. Overall, a great experience. I would recommend to anyone if you can swing it. But is Qatar Airways better? On Qatar Air, I had two legs, one from Jeddah to Doha and Doha back to JFK. The Jeddah to Doha was the bonus leg, around a 2-hour flight on a Boeing 777. Here's the smooth check-in experience and the gorgeous lounge we were given access to in Jeddah. But wait until I show you the lounge at the Doha airport. The Jeddah airport itself was beautiful. I made my way to the plane, sat down in the 5th row, which was not in front of where passengers came on, so had everyone pass by, which wasn't as peaceful as being on the upper deck or even further toward the front of the plane. But I did have a window seat and plenty of legroom. Here's the seat setup, menu, towelettes, which were fantastic, although there were no hot towels either on this leg or the longer one coming up. A great welcome drink and selection of food on this short flight. Qatar Air is known for its very soft blankets. We took off for this quick daytime flight and made our way to Doha, a city I hadn't been to in 15 years. One of the best parts by far is that they have a Starlink internet, incredibly fast speeds. I was even able to do a full 1-hour video meeting while on the next flight. Here's the pre-lunch snack and tea, followed by a delicious lunch. The food was excellent. They offered a couple meals since there was only one meal on this flight across the Arabian Peninsula, and a very cute custom chocolate box just before initial descent. We landed in Doha to their gorgeous airport, voted one of the best, if not the best in the entire world, and it showed. My first time with art from across the world. Oh, and I didn't mention how I booked this flight. I booked a business class when originally booking, and because I was flying with a stopover in Doha, it was maybe $1,000 less than if I had booked from Doha to JFK directly. All told, it was around $2,400. So at the end of the day, very similar to what I ended up paying on the Emirates with the economy and the check-in upgrade. But thanks to credit card points, I was able to defer a large chunk of that. Again, Amex Business, Platinum, and Gold cards are great. Now, the only slight issue I had with Qatar Air is they said if you're a business class passenger and your layover is over, I think 8 or 12 hours, they'll provide a hotel for you. They didn't in my case because there happened to be an earlier flight option to New York. I was just on a later one, which wasn't a big deal, but frankly, it would have been better if they never mentioned it in the first place. After some sightseeing and seeing all the new developments in Doha, the next morning made my way back to the airport, checked in at the first and business class area, a gorgeous welcome, made my way through the iconic airport, past some of the well-known landmarks, but before going to the gate had about an hour to spend in the business class lounge, which was massive. Everywhere I looked, it seemed like there were more rooms and food options, buffets near the windows, buffet in the back. I had great service in the lounge. This was definitely one of the standouts of the flight. Here's some of the food I had pre-flight, then made my way to the gate. Because there was extra security for a US bound flight, there wasn't a designated area for business or first class passengers. I think that's a big difference flying out of Dubai. You're able to wait in an Emirates lounge and board the A380 plane directly from the lounge. Luckily, it was only another 10 minutes until business class boarding. I was in the 3rd row window seat facing the back of the plane. On this Boeing 777 with the QSuite setup, it truly felt like its own suite with closing doors. The boarding and pre-flight was very peaceful, just like on Emirates. Lots of storage space at the seat, an amenity kit, towel, welcome drink, and socks. Around this time, they also offered pajamas, a large wine and food selection, Plenty of outlets in case you need to charge any device. That was true also on Emirates. A big storage area. I could even fit my shoes in here. And the comedic safety video with Kevin Hart cracking jokes. Even though I love Kevin Hart, it felt like they were trying a little hard with the safety video. We eventually pushed back and rolled down the runway for this 14-hour flight back to New York. Heading westbound typically adds an hour or so onto the flight time. It was a beautiful takeoff. Now, here are the onboard amenities. First, a gorgeous bathroom, extra products including toothbrush, toothpaste. My main flight attendant also came by with a seat pad, pillow, and extra blanket. It was very cozy. It was around this time I rested, had a glass of wine, then woke up for some breakfast. A gorgeous table setup. Both business class experiences coming with tablecloths. I had a good omelet dish as we crossed over Ireland, followed by some soup. As we made our way over Greenland, followed by another meal, a couscous dish and a cheese plate. We started our descent going over Long Island and landed at JFK to finish this round trip experience. Both incredible experiences I'd recommend to anyone. Delicious food on both. I didn't get to experience the Emirates lounge, and I would choose either option in the future, hands down. But if I had to choose one, the Emirates A380 experience was certainly very unique, and I'd probably lean towards that one. What would you decide after seeing both of these experiences? And remember, if you want to help offset the costs for any of these flights, if you're on flights with availability, if you've booked economy, look for upgrade offers when you check in and consider some credit cards that will give you perks to help offset the cost with a couple links you can use in the description. Which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments.